Here, what's good? It's your boy, Top Slug, Sofa King. I gotta go kicking the table. But what's goody? Back with another video just for you guys. If you are watching, much love and appreciation. Yeah, man, fresh off the grind, fresh off the work tip. Just got off the clock at about 9 p.m. and I have to go back in at 9 a.m. So I'm just slipping this video in here just to push myself to get some content out. And you can probably see my eyes a little low already. So I think I'm a little bit tired, but I'm good. Try to put something together for you guys just to kind of keep it consistent. Or not consistent, but just keep it coming. And yeah, I don't really know what I want to talk about today. Not too much happened. I mean, there was a big verdict in the R. Kelly case. I mean, good. That's all I can really say. Sometimes it's tough to see black men that, had greatness in them fall so far and, like, do things that are, like, reprehensible, I would say, like he did. But, when it happens, right? And once that happens, you can't really have a lot of sympathy or a lot of pleas or passes or anything like that for the guilty party, just because, he violated, right? Like, he violated somebody, he violated a bunch of girls, a bunch of women. He was using his power, his influence, his stardom in a very, very nasty way. And, you know, as somebody who had that artistic respect for what he was as an artist, it's sad. It's kind of sad to see him be so morally corrupt and troubled or whatever you want to call it. But like, now that he is going through what he's going through, it's not a lot you could say to kind of like pacify what he did. So, whether they got him the right way or that type of thing, it remains to be seen. I don't know enough. I don't even care to research, because to me it's like, it is what it is. When you do certain things and you get caught up, and unless you're just like falsely accused altogether, it's not much anybody can do for you. I mean, you're guilty, right? Like, you are guilty. So, um, you know, prayers to the people who were probably scarred for life. A lot of the women who were abused, they may have all type of traumas that stem from that whole kind of saga in their lives and everything that he did. And yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. It's not good. It's not good at all. And me personally, I think as a young, I couldn't even tell you how old I was, but I think I definitely was underage, under 18, under 21, when that R. Kelly tape came out. And I mean, me as a kid, I could tell like that was weird. You know what I mean? I think it's something you had to download off like LimeWire or one of those like servers or some shit like that. And if you were into computers, you knew where to get it. And I personally just had just enough interest to know how to get bullshit like that. There's all type of stuff I could tell you about back then. But just watching that tape in itself was like, I would even look at that girl. Like, at that age, I was at an age where I even looked at the girl like, wow, she's a little bit too young looking. I mean, her body was like kind of underdeveloped. Um, it was just so many like things that were like red flags, to where it's like, man, like, I know for a while, if you actually watched it, which maybe people won't admit to it now, but I watched it back then as a kid. But like, you was hoping like, this ain't him. You hoping it's not real, I guess, in a way, just because like after a while, I think it got creepy. And I think there was multiple videos actually as well. Like, I think that there was one with actual like adult women, and then it was the main one, which I think was like the longest one, with him and the little girl, where like he did what he did to her. Um, not just had sex with her, but he did something like beyond the pale, I guess. Or not beyond the pale. People do that shit all the time now. Yeah, but yeah, but no. So like something that back then was like crazy to hear. Like he did what he you know urinated like on a girl, like for what? Like for what? Like what did that do? You know what I mean? But I guess you know what I mean. So like even then, it was kind of like you don't want to think of R. Kelly, the dude who made I Can Believe I Can Fly. Like you don't want to think about him like doing some creep shit like that. But like once you saw the video, it was like if you had any type of like discernment, any type of like common sense. I don't want to say it like that because there's a lot of people who may be blinded by like their fandom. But if you had that type of like skeptical eye, you saw like what it was, and it was tough to kind of see. R. Kelly looked like such a like a herb, like a creep, like he was doing all type of stuff that like at least back then was like especially as a kid, you looked at him like, yo, you doing all that? You R. Kelly, bro. Like, why is you even messing with like anything but the best of the best? And then there was always the rumor about him and Aaliyah and everything like that. And so it was like, man, like it's too much smoke, right? Like, it's some type of fire. And like, niggas really are like the older you get, you do realize there are people that are like that, right? And there are kind of people that are, weirdos or whatever you want to call it, like have, internal issues, mental health issues, may have been touched themselves and do have like a predilection to like those type of like taboo fetishes. And, especially to be doing things like that with young girls, it's kind of like, you too rich, you too famous to be like naive and not know any better, or like he wasn't young, so it wasn't like he could have got caught up. Like it was definitely, a purposeful act, and it was disgusting. And I think since then, I haven't really listened to his music, or even back then, I think because that was something that people had to go out and seek. You still heard stuff on the radio. He still did like collaborations and stuff like that back then, and like it was always kind of a little bit of a turnoff. And I mean, it's not like the songs aren't fire. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, the music is still what it is, but it's like I can't listen to the music and then think of the man. Not no homo, if that's a thing. I can't think of the man like that's like creating that art, and I can't think of him the same way. So when I hear the music, it's like even though it's still 12 play. Like, nah, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, it's other shit out there. And I'm not that pressed. I was never, like, a super fan already just because, R&B was something that, you listen to on the side. Like, you fuck with it. But, like, I'm not, like, in love with no R&B stars, catalog. Like, it's all the same, So it was, like, whatever. You know what I mean? But, like, it was tough to definitely have that mentality when some of those songs you grew up on, right? Like, I mean, I remember "Step in the Name of Love" like was like everybody and your grandma, your mom, all those people, like everybody was like stepping and dancing to it. I mean, I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly speaks for itself. I mean, if not for this scandal, R. Kelly would probably be like the closest thing to like R. Kelly or Prince. I mean, not an R. Kelly. R. Kelly would be the closest thing to like a Prince or a Michael Jackson, at least for our current era. Like somebody who just was that dude throughout, which, once he got into this stuff, he fell off clearly. But like all the way up until like Trapped in the Closet, like he was still that dude, you know what I mean? And men, women, kids alike listen to his music. And it's just tough because, already as black people, you know what I mean? And not even to take it there, but already as black people and black men, we only get so many representatives, of greatness, right? And so like when those representatives, even if they're like chosen unwillingly, like when they fall like this to things that it's not even like you could just give them a pass on being human. Like this is like real live creep shit, right? Like, and so for that to happen, it's somebody that you like grew up watching and when you think of certain times and events, like their music, their kind of art comes to mind. Like it's tough, man. Like it's tough to like it's tough in the sense that it's sad, right? It's sad to see somebody that you could have looked at in such a high regard to see them fall from grace like so far. And yeah, he's washed now. I mean, it's over, right? Like, it's over for him. And it's funny because, like, just being online a little bit, I was working throughout the afternoon, but just being online a little bit here and there on breaks and stuff, like, I'm seeing comments, I'm seeing videos where people are basically like still got the cape on, right? Like, they still got the cape on for the man, and it's like, damn, bro, like, what is it like? Sometimes, like, you just, even if you're not down on somebody, right, like, you just gotta let the universe have it. Like, this nigga has done enough to definitely be you know, in a place where people don't like him, right? Like, people don't like him if he's in court and he's being tried for something that he definitely did, regardless of which version or which aspect of that is under trial. Like, I don't have any sympathy for what happens to him, and it goes the same for people that you do like, or that you do kind of support, or you do kind of maybe think they aren't guilty, right? Like, if you're in a situation, it may be fucked up that you got caught up, but at the end of the day, like, just like you have personal accountability for yourself, right? You have to, like, hold others to that same standard. So, like, R. Kelly's got enough money, enough resources, enough friends, enough powerful, like, people, that, if he didn't know any better, that's on him. You know what I mean? And you can't really, like, plead or feign ignorance when you're in these situations. So, like, for people to still have, like, all these kind of pleas about, like, what he went through in the past, or, oh, well, the evidence wasn't this or that, it's like, I don't get it, and it shows me, like, that sometimes that you really just have to accept that there is, like, a sheep, like, her, like, cult, like, mentality. And, like, I'm not saying that if you like R. Kelly, if you support R. Kelly, that you're wrong, but, like, it's like watching a team play in the Super Bowl, right? If you, even if you like that team, if they lose, right? Especially if they're in a position, or they're in a situation to lose, and they lose, like, you can still support them, but you got to hold that L if you with them, you know what I mean? And it's like, when it happens in a situation like this, especially with the topic and the subject matter that we're talking about, like, things that I can't say even on YouTube, right? It's not really much to kind of, like, pacify, right? Like, that's not something that you can do unconsciously, especially on the level that he was. And so for them to be, so adamant about his innocence, and, like, how he shouldn't be locked up, at least, right? Or, he went through what he went through, or they're like, I won't say victim blaming, because some of these things are real about the victims, right? They chasing money, right? Like, that's to be expected, though. But they're chasing money. They're after the bag. They're folding. They're giving up certain information because the tide has turned. The tables have shifted. The scales of power in a different way. And that's what happens, though. That's what happens, though, when you're in the shit like that. Like, you could be in any type of, like, illegal or, like, undercover activity, and when it gets tough, people going to give it up. But them giving it up, or them being rats or snakes or snitches or whatever it is, it doesn't absolve you from your responsibility and your accountability. So it's one of those things where, even if that's the case, like, so like, so what, you know what I mean? And yeah, like, I like to kind of, at this point, I don't think really somebody who's on that, there's much talking to that you could do with them. But, like, it's not like Michael Jackson, right? Like, Michael Jackson was accused of some stuff, and they were never proven. They, like, the people who for the most part, the people who accused him of the things, or the things he was accused of around certain people, like, they came out and they spoke in his favor at times, and, like, there was no real evidence of him doing anything, in the sense of, like, it was more him just kind of being weird, and I love Michael Jackson, you know what I mean? That's one of my favorite artists growing up, but, like, he was on some weird shit, and I can't, like, deny it, you know what I mean? You sleeping in the bed with kids. I mean, I don't care if it's a like, California's, super king Jesus bed, like, I don't care, like, it's weird, you know what I mean? You're a grown man, and these aren't your children. So, like, there was certain things that he was doing that put himself in hot water, But when it came down to it, like it was more or less he was just on some weird shit. Which yeah, now everybody knows you weird. Keep your kids away, whatever you want to say. But like it's not the same as somebody who basically was proven to be like I don't know, like playing this kind of like pimp role with underage girls or girls that are barely legal or like girls that are basically ostracized, runaways from their family, using money like, you know, carrot on the stick over them. And like even what they are now, even them coming after them for bread or whatever they're doing, like you don't think that's a product of what they went through with, your man. So I really don't get that mentality. And, it's interesting that it's a lot of women that actually have that mentality because, I don't want to be cliche and bring up, protect black women and, all the things that people would normally say. The washing machine going crazy, my bad. But all the things that people would normally say in those situations. But, I mean, that's a thing. That's part of it. And not to mention just the principle of like if you're a woman and you have any type of that trauma in your past or you have anybody who has been in those situations or you complain about men on any level that kind of correlates or relates to what he's dealing with now or what he is proven to have done to these women, like what are you saying and like how does it make sense? Like how can you cop a plea for R. Kelly and then like talk shit about Pookie and Ray Ray? You know what I mean? Like R. Kelly's basically just a rich Pookie, you know what I mean? Or I guess he would be a Ray Ray, but like whatever the case, he's just a rich version of that same mentality, that same dude. So like for like women to be doing that, it's just funny, you know what I mean? It's ironic. It's I won't say sad. That's for another woman to say and speak on, but it's just silly that like you see so much of that. And I think that for the most part, most people at this point had kind of let it go. Even if you are a R. Kelly fan, I mean, it is what it is. He was into what he was into. So if he got caught up, he got caught up. And if that means he was going to jail, that means he was going to jail. I don't even know how many people really were even following it closely at this point. Just because I mean it's kind of set in stone, or it's not really a shock that he was found guilty. They wanted to get him, especially after Bill just got out off the bullshit. They're not going to let R. Kelly walk, especially when it's fresh and it's young girls and it's been such a high profile thing. And not to mention, taking the black man down at the end of the day, and he's broke now. They took his money or whatever the case. Like they got his masters. I don't know, you know what I mean. But there's always incentives in taking people like that out because like, especially if they got a reason to, good reason. And like even with Bill or even like Nick Cannon, if they find the slightest thing to kind of even attack you with, and I won't say the slightest thing with Bill Cosby because he was wilding back in the day, but that went how it went, and I'm not mad that he's out just because like it's so long ago. You never know, but like this one is different, and this one is like very hard and very sad to see, but like it is what it is, man. Like to me, it's been over for R. Kelly. For me, I haven't really been a supporter of him in a long time, so it's not really a big deal, but it just kind of rehashes that same energy to say like some of these niggas, man, be fucking up. They got it, they got the bag, they got the world in their hands, and that's something that even once you get success in life, you are who you are, right? And you have your demons, and they will pop back up if you don't seek the help and get the help that you need to kind of overcome some of those lesser, baser instincts that you have, regardless of where they come from. It doesn't matter if he was, violated in the past by, a sister or an uncle, whatever the case may be. Once you get to a certain level in life as an adult, it's on you to break certain cycles and certain generational curses, if you want to say, like, and I mean, it's definitely probably better that he go to jail than not and walk because he's famous or walk because there's some technicality or walk at all or even get a base less, strict sentence than they're talking about. I mean, they're talking about giving him like 100. I think I saw like 100 or like 140 years, which is basically life. He'll die in prison, um, which I'm sure it'll be appealed, and he's got a lot of other avenues he can probably still exhaust if he has the money. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is, if you ask me. So like, I know you didn't ask me. You didn't ask, but I told you. You know what I mean? And hopefully that made sense. Just because like, I think that it should be like pretty simple, and if it's not, just as a black man myself, and as somebody who comes from the same culture that R. Kelly has made his money and grown his fame and his stardom off of, and the same type of environments that like held him in high esteem, um, you know, shit, you let us down if that's a thing, if that matters at all, and you were a poor representative of black men, and you squandered the greatness that you had, and that's just a lesson. I think that's just a lesson for other men, other people who do maybe gain some type of wealth or fame or whatever it may be, just to check yourself and kind of check the things that you've been through, that you don't kind of repeat those same cycles or fall into the same patterns. And I mean, maybe it started really early for R. Kelly, where he went down a road that he couldn't get back from. I mean, even with the whole marrying Aaliyah thing, he was only in his early 20s or something. I mean, if she was 14, 15, 16, it's still weird. It shows that you have like some type of thing in your mind, I would assume, some type of mental you know preference, that makes you go after a certain look or body type or whatever it is. So like, or maybe it's knowing of the age specifically, but like I really can't relate to it, so I can't really speak for it. But like, even back then, it seemed like he was on some shit. So, um, excuse me. Who knows? Who knows what the boy was on? Who knows what he was into? And we'll see. We'll see how this goes. But yeah, I mean, everybody who was down with that camp, I think they should get, they should get what they deserve for sure. Whether it be, the people who enabled it, the people who facilitated him doing this, because you can't do this by yourself and be R. Kelly and nobody know. I mean, there's stories now of people walking in and seeing certain things and just kind of letting it go, or being paid off, or being fired, and nothing happening from it. And I'm sure the industry, themselves is probably guilty of that as well, just because I also heard stories of, him having like beds and shit in the studio. And, just, I couldn't imagine him being such a high profile dude, right? Just you got to put yourself in these people's minds, I guess, the best you can sometimes, right? And maybe this will help you understand, like, you can't really give these guys any sympathy. You're a high profile dude like R. Kelly. You're probably the biggest R&B megastar, whatever it is in your genre. You're the biggest in your lane, right? You got the world at your feet. You got the world at your oyster. It is your oyster, whatever you say. You got people. You snap, they give you what you want. You snap, they give you what you need. You know what I mean? You don't move alone. You got security. You got managers. You got road managers. You got PR. You got press. You got marketing teams. You got business partners who come and see you. You got other artists you're collaborating with. You got engineers. You got people who come into the studio. People who write music with you. You probably have artists under you. You probably have just an entourage, right? You got all these people around you. You do what you want. You say what you want. You got the big house. You got the nice cars. You got everything. You really think you hiding the shit that you're doing? You think somebody who would be doing this type of stuff is really going out their way in any capacity to hide what they're doing? Maybe they expect you to not ask, right? But you still see it for what it is. Maybe they expect you to, not tell, but you still see it for what it is. and maybe they expect their power or their influence to supersede any type of possible repercussion that could come from just somebody trying to expose it, or maybe they think they got they stuff together so tight that it won't matter. You know what I mean? But they don't. They're not hiding it. They're not sneaking around. They're not. They're probably doing it in your face. They're probably like very dismissive of any like challenge to it, especially while they're in a heightened state. Especially when they're in environments they control. And if you ever dealt with people who, maybe have some of these kind of narcissistic, these kind of like anti-social, like sociopathic, personality traits or qualities about them, whether it be at work or whether it be just from like, day-to-day life. Like I previously worked in the mental health field as well, so I do have some experience with people who do have like certain things about them that makes them feel like they're above any type of reproach. And even on basic levels, like they know what they're doing, right? Like they just don't care. So you can imagine somebody who is in this type of position. I do not kind of see how you could think that there's any kind of justification for him doing this, and moving like this, or any type of like subconscious aspect to it, because he was R. Kelly, right? Like, you think R. Kelly walking around like tiptoeing? Nah, bro. He walking with 20 dudes, like, you know what I mean? You bringing a girl, everybody seemed like they knew something, and everybody had a reason to kind of, hide it for him, and so they're just as guilty. So, like, I think that's a big thing that, these kind of networks and how they work. I wish they expose those more, because I think that sometimes like R. Kelly, Epstein, right? Like some of these dudes, like if you really started like pulling on those web strings, who knows what you would get on the other end? Who knows who would be on the other end? So like, it's definitely crazy, and like I said, the victim's family, those who were truly like affected and hurt by that situation, I give my my regards, my prayers for whatever it's worth, just because I'm speaking on the topic. And to R. Kelly, I mean, it is what it is, man. You fucked up. You fucked up, man. Like it is. Yeah. I mean, shit. I don't got no jokes for you, because that shit is reprehensible. It's creep shit. It's pedophilia in my definition. I know somebody. Shit's so crazy out here. This is how crazy shit is on the internet. It was a woman on a stream that I was watching. She said that he's not a pedophile because the women, for it to be a pedophile, which I don't know if that word you can say or not, so YouTube forgive me, but for you to be a ped, like the child has to be under 13, right? And I'm just thinking, like, who's trying to define this shit, right? Like, who's trying to define what a pedophile is to cop a plea for somebody? Like, that's weird to me. You know what I mean? You're dealing with somebody that's underage. You above the age of 25, 26, 27. You know what you're doing, right? Like, I don't want to hear it. Like, I remember being that age. I was always kind of like, listen, I got maybe 3 years for you. That's it. You know what I mean? I can't do, I can't be 21 dealing with no 17-year-old, right? Like, I can't be 20 dealing with no 16-year-old, right? Like, I couldn't even deal with like a chick in high school. And fortunately, I was in college, so I didn't have to really make those choices, right? But like, I thought it was weird when I was in high school and I was 16, 17, and the shorty would say like, I got a college boyfriend. me, even as a young dude, maybe it was hate. You know what I mean? I don't know, but I looked at that back then like, come on now, you know what that's about. And so for you to be 25 and you dealing with somebody that's young like that, you to be 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. I mean, R. Kelly's probably close to 50 years old at this point, and you still running around with like little chicks that's passing for 18, 19, 20. um, you know what you're going for, you know what you're going after, you know the mentality. I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for anybody else, right? But once you get to the point in life where you actually have to be in real relationships and you start to like deal with people, even if it's just like somebody you fucking on the side, right, for a few months, you learn a person's mentality. You have to deal with them, and so for you to be a grown person dealing with a child like mine, at 17, 18, 19, 20, let's be honest, these girls, especially them being separated from their families and things like that, they have childlike minds. He is taking advantage of the weak, right? You're preying on the weak. And for you to be R. Kelly when, it's chicks that even now, as you're guilty, would just throw it at you, right? It's just like, you can't tell me it's an accident or a mistake or it's justified or things happened to him. So he like, no, I don't want to hear none of that. You know what I mean? Because, if it was a regular dude, right, there wouldn't even be any like conversation. You know what I mean? It would just be what it is. And yeah, man, like I'm gonna let this one go. Because it's at 30 minutes, and I want to come back, in my regular shit and talk about something a little bit more lighthearted. Hopefully, I find something to come up with. I'm about to tune into my man Kevin Samuels for a second, see what he's talking about. Maybe I'll talk about why people hate him or something like that. Like, I really think that's an interesting conversation, and it goes into a lot of things that actually perpetuate the topic and the things that he talks about, right? I mean, I'll save it. But, yeah, man. So, yeah, R. Kelly's a creep. He's going to jail. He's going to jail forever. He made a lot of good music, but it is what it is. He's excommunicated from society and the culture, I would say. You don't get to do what he did the way he did, even if you just look at it from a fucking up the bag standpoint. Nah, I don't want to hear from you if you that type of goofball, that type of creep, that type of weirdo, that type of loser, right? It's one of the biggest L's you could take. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of the biggest L's you could take in the history of, like, whatever you want to call it. Like, you know what I mean? I hate saying the culture redundantly or a bunch of times because it's so corny of a word, but like that's the best way to like describe it. But like within like our kind of interest group, entertainment, this is one of the biggest L's you could take, and there ain't no bouncing back from it. So it's like it's set in stone, and I think he got what he deserved personally. I think that certain things you can't mess with little girls, man. You can't do it. You can't beat on women. You can't assault women in a sexual way. You can't you can't do it, man. You can't do it and anybody have any type of sympathy for you. Or when people show that they don't have sympathy, there's nothing to be said, So, yeah, man. Like, hopefully the washing machine is not fucking up the video, but it is what it is. It's on now. I'm going. I wanted to let it rock. I realized that I just turned it on, but, the video was going good. That's how I felt. So, I let it go, you know what I mean? And hopefully it's not too loud because I'm using the phone mic anyway, so shit's probably distorted, but yeah, man, I'm gonna put this out there. 30 minutes, 34, 35 minutes. Sheesh. I can't do the short video, man. I can't like cut it short. I gotta edit it down. I can't just talk in a little 15-minute spurt. Too long-winded, you know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. It's a maybe a negative quality, but fuck it. Like, I've adapted to it. I've accepted it. So, you know, hopefully there's a place for this. Hopefully somebody watches it. Hopefully you skip through maybe and skip the washing machine parts. But you know, Top Slug Sofa King. I'll be back with another one shortly. You know what I mean? Work day, grinding, but you know, got to put some energy into what we want to do and the shit that we trying to build for ourselves. So, um, staying committed to that theory and that philosophy, and definitely, I'll be back. Thanks for tuning in. If you did, like, subscribe. You know what to do. I think that I'm getting really close to moving, so I think that I'll be able to really do these a little bit more comfortably. I mean, right now the space that I'm recording in is trash. You see it's all type of stuff in the background. I know it shouldn't be there. I definitely have a much more professional setup. Hopefully I can get this mic and this like boom stand put together. But yeah, man, I want to let you know, man. I'll slug it too. Fuck it. If we gotta slug it, we still gonna get something done. Put something out there for the people, and hopefully they like it. You know, hopefully it's okay. Hopefully at least it's at least worth tuning back into another video for. You know, and like I said, I'm always gonna try to give my authentic thoughts and opinions. And you know, if anybody has kind of any more insight or any type of pushback, I'm definitely open to a conversation or hearing more or seeing a comment. But yeah, I mean, I don't really think it's much to say about R. Kelly, but like maybe it's something else that you don't agree with. So I'm always good for a good, healthy, respectful debate or conversation or interaction. So with that being said, I'm gonna let it rock. I'm gonna let you go, but come back. Top Slug, Sofa King, Jay Haynes, we out.